extra towel. I drip dry.
She drip dry.
Welcome to the Drip Dry podcast where we let it all hang out. It's me, Faith Marie.
I am Maya Monet.
And it's your girl, Jasmine Christine. We are three best friends here to share our life with you guys in our 30s. And today's episode, we're going to talk about all things gender roles. So I feel like this one, we've like barely touched on it. So we want to like deep dive. So today's episode, we are drinking some XXL. If you know us by now, this is like one of our favorite brands to drink. We are drinking the peach flavor.
It's a staple.
Tell me what's your flavor. Ooh, you remember that?
No.
You don't remember that commercial? That was a Fanta commercial.
Gender roles.
Gender roles.
Gender
Cheers.
roles. Cheers.
To bullshit.
Well.
Cheers to bullshit. Yummy. Love the peach flavor. But first, we got to start off by saying, y'all better hit that subscribe button. Y'all playing around, and we see it because the views and the people's watching plus the subscribers ain't mathing. It's not adding up. So you need to hit that button right there on the screen. It takes you literally 0.5 seconds, and you just showing us love. So please and thank you. All things gender roles. What you thinking?
I forgot. I forgot. I kind of did, but if I talk, it'll come back. So gender roles in today. See, told you to come back. In today's like millennials and Gen Zers and the times that we're living in now, how different do you think, or how much do you think they've changed since like our parents, when our parents were our age, and even going back to like our grandparents, like
Maybe a whole 180
over.
For sure.
Over the years, like
It's not even close to the same to me.
like night and day.
Very much so. A whole 180.
Cause it seems like night and day.
Because the stuff that, even if you're just looking at your grandparents, the stuff that your grandparents did, it's not even close to what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Not even close.
I agree.
Like the grandmothers didn't drive. They stayed home.
Like, do you remember how people would say like, oh, go to Big Mama's house? Big Mama's house it doesn't exist anymore. There's not a Big Mama in the family.
Yeah. The great.
And if you got one, you're blessed.
Yeah.
That's my grandmother. We celebrated her 87th birthday on this week that just passed.
Oh.
Yeah.
She went and played bingo. She went out.
So Big Mama's house doesn't exist, and I don't think it's going to exist anymore.
Yeah.
Going forward, you don't. I think
Not unless people want to really go back to that and grasp a hold of that, but I don't think that's coming back.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? I'll say why I think it is. I think it has to do with the generations that came after, and when you had like big mamas and stuff like that, like there was a time where you had to be married to have kids, or you like that was a big thing. Like if you're not married, you're not having kids. If you're not, like, it was big. You're doing it in this order. And so the ages were different, and also just how they live their life. I feel like people that are older today they don't move like big mamas did. Like they still get out, they still do stuff. They're active. They're having babies at 50s and 60s. Like they was back then, but they was still. It was a different time. It was slower. Like now everything's at the tip of your fingertips. So it's like
you could do a lot more.
Yeah,
the independence progressed as the times changed. Everyone kept teaching their children, like, you can do this for yourself. You don't need somebody to do it for you. And then it just kind of came to this society we have now where everyone can do anything by yourself. You can have a baby by yourself. You don't need no man for that.
Trickle
you
down
can do anything.
The independence.
Definitely.
Yes.
I like that.
Which is good. I feel like that's a great thing. But also, like, I see on social media, like especially TikTok, where you will see like anything from like teenagers to early 20s. They're like living on their own, making all their own money, which you used to not see all the time, to like women who are married and trying to go back to those older values. And I feel like it's harder to go backwards than it is to progress with what you're seeing more often with the times. Yeah.
I understand. I completely agree. But I think gender roles it plays a huge part in that. Like gender roles and as a whole, I think women got fed up with, oh, I can't have a bank account unless my husband's tied to it, or I can't.
Right.
You gonna tell me, okay, no, that won't be for my daughter's not having that. We're not. Or divorce was also not a thing. I mean, people were getting divorced, but it was like
not as high as it is.
It was
now.
taboo. Yeah, it was taboo.
Yeah.
To like, if you got divorced, you were like the neighborhood.
It was like the worst thing in the world.
Baby, my scarlet letter. You might as well.
Yeah.
And it probably wasn't even you, but they're not gonna blame him. It's your fault. You didn't do it. You were supposed to do, so he did what he did, and that's that. Yeah. Like, I think it made a lot of women, and that goes to Big Mama's house and matriarchs. It made them look at life differently. It made them want different for their children.
Yeah.
So I think that's...
Yeah, but why go to Big Mama when you can get on social media and see how so-and-so girl just did blank, blank, and blank all by herself? Oh, I could do that too. Or, you know, like women's rights started become like, it's been a huge thing, and there's been like advocacy for it for years and years and years now. But I feel like with this heavy start of social media expanding, they just took that and ran with it. And now it's like everything is changing, and we're getting so far behind what those natural values were. Yeah.
Do you consider them values or a role?
I think they marry. I think they go hand in hand.
Really?
Okay.
Values and roles, like, depending on, but that's like relationships. What is gender roles?
Oh, see, I would say like a role would be like, for me, it would be like it's coming from the Bible. Like, God intended for women to do ABC, and then like the values would go hand in hand with that too. But it's also like family to family. What do you find more important to you, or not?
Whether it's based on the Bible or not, you're just saying this is what I value in life in general,
right? Based
off of
because I know this makes me happy and whatever.
But your role, you're saying you base that off of the Bible specifically.
I would say so. I feel like majority of like what rules we think like, oh, women are supposed to do this, men are supposed to do that, it originally came from the Bible. Whether you believe in God or not, or you read the Bible or not,
biblical times.
Technically, all of those, like, we're supposed to do these things. It started from the Bible. Yeah.
That makes sense. Though.
I can totally agree with that.
But I understand what you're saying, where like they do go hand in hand.
Because now how people live their life, they don't really base it off of that. My role is what's important to me. Yeah. If I feel like today it might be taking care of it, and I also think today it's more based on what's needed. Yeah. Like, if my husband's not working, okay, I'm gonna go out and do what I gotta do. I'm gonna carry us forward. If I have to, I'm gonna do what I gotta do. Where back then it wasn't an option. Like, you gotta get out here and figure it out. Yeah. Like, she might be doing, you know, little stuff on the side, but women are more proactive now to jump out there and okay, well, we gonna figure it out, or I got this, or I'm gonna pay it, or I like. Yeah, it's more of a partnership versus a you. Yeah,
that's just money your
and
role.
And I'm just taking care of the house. Yeah, but even back then, like it was almost like not a stigma, but certain people felt like you run your house like, yeah, your husband make all the money and he pays the bills and you don't touch any of the money, and he give you money to go grocery shopping in. But then there were also some families where the men went to work, but they came home and they gave her the check. Like, okay, this is all we got. This is what we got. You pay the bills. You figure it out. He come home and he bring his check to his wife. Like, that was.
Do you like that role?
Of
like, would you ever think that would be a part of your relationship?
For me to just stay home and
he comes home and just gives you the money, and then you're just
I pay the bills. Based off.
Do you think that would ever be a role for you? Would you like that?
A part of me like, hell yeah. And then another part of me like, I don't know if I could ever give all of my, like, surrender all of.
That's what I'm saying. This day and age, I don't think most people prefer to do
but
it
if
that way.
I'm not even gonna front. I'm not gonna fake it. If I could and like keep making enough money to where I didn't have to work, I wouldn't. I'll take care of all of this. What you need me to do? I even cut the grass.
I think it goes off of personality now too. Like women are more vocal now, and marriages are different now, where you can have those open conversations with your husband, where I feel like our grandparents could not have conversations like that because no, a man does this, a woman does a know your role. Yes. Where now, like, you know, before I got into my marriage, we sat down and we talked about, okay, who's going to take care of the money? Who's going to be doing this? Do you want to work? Do you not want to work? When we have kids, what are you going to do? Yada, yada, yada. And I feel like that just wasn't a conversation.
Got it.
Before.
No,
I think
it was an assumed. It was an assumed conversation or an assumed idea of like, you already know what you should be doing.
Yes.
You know what it is.
And I feel like my parents, I don't know if they actually sat and had a conversation about it like Elijah and I did, but I think it was like a mix. Like they talked about some things and then other things were just like assumed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to be like their parents or do things their parents did because they
generation after generation.
Yeah, it's from you just learn. Yeah.
I feel like, does anybody want to be like exactly how their parents were? I've never known anybody to be like, if I could be exactly like my parents, that would be golden.
I don't want to be exactly like my parents.
I think that also plays a huge part on if you. Today is not what it was. Like most people, like our parents' age, their parents were still married or together for the most part. Like they had a higher percentage of people staying together, even if they weren't happy. They could have been
yeah,
but they were together. Now,
yeah. Well, and now it's like more common for like men to step out or even women to step out of their families
and leave.
Yes. So it's kind of like, what kind of relationship do you have with your parents then? Because I know like seeing my parents' marriage, I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to find a guy that's exactly like my dad. That's what I want. And that's what I did. So I think yeah, it depends on. I don't think anybody would say, yeah, I want my marriage to be exactly like my parents. Like, no.
Yeah.
You see.
Or my household to be like my parents' household. There's no way. There's no way. There's so much stuff that my parents do that I'm like, negative Ghost Rider, that coming in my house. No.
I think it's just embedded in our DNA. Each generation, each lineage, it changes. Our DNA shifts with the time. It's all energetic. It's rolling energetically with the frequency of what the earth is and how everything is rolling and where everybody's spiritual level is and the spiritual awareness on the planet and you know, people coming in.
Darwin's theory. What is that called?
Darwin.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Where like the fastest animal's gonna live and the other ones aren't gonna live.
I don't know nothing about
evolution.
That.
What?
I don't know nothing about that.
You didn't learn that in school? I think it's Darwin's theory, something like
that. Yeah.
Hey, Darwin, how you doing?
Hey, Darwin.
Hey, Darwin.
Hey, how you doing?
I think I'm gonna name my son that. No, Darwin.
She said no.
But
Darwin,
Chosen?
Dylan, and Dustin.
Chosen.
Isn't that no? Stop.
She was there.
These kids at Brian's surprise party. The little baby's name. He was probably what, two. His name was Chosen, so she kept saying like, "Chosen, come here, Chosen, Chosen. What do you want to eat, Chosen?" And then her other two kids that were older, like maybe 4 and like 6, maybe, they were Power and Legend, and Chosen. I was like, I'm obsessed, and they were dressed to the nines, hair braided, fresh braids. Oh, they were so cute.
Their hair is like this.
Yeah.
But like,
this is perfect for gender roles. Yes, go ahead. Yes. No, this is so perfect. This is so perfect.
Okay, we won't put names in there, but just
no names.
Just families and knowing families where like the dad, he can make money and he can move around and he can do things and he's well connected and he like, babe, if you want to work, you can work. Okay, go ahead. She go to work Monday through Friday. He stay home and homeschool the kids.
He stays home and
like,
homeschools the kids. Because he's really good with like networking and stuff, so he makes his money doing other stuff on the side.
Oh, still making money.
So he still makes money, but he doesn't work like a 9 to 5. No, so she's able to go work freely, and he takes care of the kids during the day.
And they are like smart.
Yeah.
They will have a conversation. They will look at you like they are.
You never hear that. I find that so fascinating. Even Elijah was sitting there like, wait, he homeschools the kids?
Yes. I thought that was sir. So, like,
that's
awesome. That's amazing. That's amazing.
I don't know.
I feel like to have a husband where I feel like I can like that. You got it. I don't even got it. It's freaking.
Yeah.
To have that.
Yeah.
Or to have a partner. I think that's what it really boils down.
I'm stuck on that part.
That's a whole nother conversation.
I know.
We gonna circle back.
We gonna circle
back. Yeah, we coming back down that street. We gonna coming back down that avenue.
Yeah, because I'm with you, girl.
Speaking of gender roles, in your house when you were younger, what was your role, and what was your parents' roles? Like what? Like go both ways. Like your role as the daughter in your gender role. And then what was it like compared to your parents' role?
You're on to something here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because
I know you didn't have a brother
that makes
in the household.
Huge difference.
You did, and so did I.
Yeah.
I had 2 brothers and a sister.
So did that role, whether you were the daughter, the sibling... Because, like, eventually, obviously, my brother moved out, so then it was just me.
Yeah.
Did you end up taking on... Did you end up taking on their role when that sibling left? Or was your daughter role just... It stayed the same?
Girl. Do the girly chores. The pink chores. The pink pegs.
Pink chores and blue chores.
Pegs. Me... Oh, let's go to you first. Because you had all girls. So that's a...
Yeah, let me think. Okay.
Were any of the roles you felt like these are all girl roles, or they didn't treat them differently in your house? It was just these are things that need to be done. It doesn't matter if you're a girl or a boy, you're doing them.
Yeah, it was like that. It was definitely like, well, so so I really was just with my mom for like a while until my dad came along, and then he still, like, I still didn't consider him my dad until like the end of high school. So, you know, it was just I just listened to my mom. Yeah. So my mom never gave me chores. She never said like, you need to do these chores. There's no questions about it. No chores. No, I'm not saying I never did them, but she never like made me do anything. But she would tell me like, you need to go clean your room, like you need to clean the kitchen if your friends want to come over, blah blah blah. Like she would, I guess she would like hand out, so she like hand out chores, but it wasn't like you absolutely had to do the chores.
Every day, this is your chore.
I very much grew up with like a silver spoon in my mouth. I feel like it was just us. She let me do whatever I want. If the biggest thing was like I had to get good grades. I had to do well in school, and if I did well in school, I would get paid. So that's how I made my money. And then my nanny would make me do stuff for her, like chores, and that's how I would get money if I wanted money. But it was never like I would get grounded if I didn't do a chore or anything like that. So with my sisters especially, it was just like you have to take care of your sisters. You have to watch your sisters. So I was put in the role of like, you are the first kid in the family. You are the oldest, significantly older. So you have to take care of these 3 little kids. And my nanny helped a lot, but then she got to a point where she couldn't help as much. And so it definitely was just all on me. So I would go to school and I would have my sisters after school until my parents got home from work. But then I would get really stressed out about I need the house to be clean. Like I don't want my parents to come home and the house is trash because there's 3 toddlers running around. And And I would get so overwhelmed with that. And my mom's like, nobody told you to clean the house. Like, we did not tell you had to watch 3 babies and clean the house. And I was like, I know, but I just feel like I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting on my butt, like yelling at these kids all day. Like,
she didn't have to do that for you. Like, you were
you had the concept of I want to help.
Yes, I did. I did, because she also raised me to be very, very independent too. So it was definitely like fend for yourself, like take care of yourself. And with school things, especially as I got older, any camps I wanted to go to, any extracurricular thing I wanted to do ever, she was like, you have to go figure it out. You walk to that person, you ask the questions. Oh yeah, she never. And like, if I got a lot of social anxiety about it, she would go with me, but she'd be like, you have to do all the talking. I'll go with you, but you have to do the talking.
I do that.
Yeah, she still does that with my sisters, which is great.
You how to be an individual in the world, how to stand on your own, how to speak up for yourself. It shows you, oh, I do have a voice. I'm not just what my parents say, and that's
because you don't teach them that now. Whenever
it's gonna be hard
in a setting where they need to speak up or speak to an adult, they're gonna be scared. And they're gonna be like, well, I need to go tell my mom first. No, the situation's happening now. You need to go to an adult. You need to express yourself.
How to critical think.
I think
how
I
to navigate through situations. I like that.
I
think when London was 6. She's 8 now. I think I started that when she was 6, because she would say,
"That's a perfect age too."
I need this.
Because they like really talk.
Or she would say, "So this happened at camp," and I'm like, "Well, why didn't you say anything then?" She's like, "Well, I was going to tell you," and then I'm like, "No, you tell somebody then." Then when you come home,
in the moment,
obviously give me your side of the story and that whole thing. But yeah, I totally what your mom taught you. I started that at 6.
So that I guess started my role, but because it was all women in the house, and my dad, there wasn't not really like another type of role. But I will say, what I saw with my eyes, what I experienced is, I always saw my dad doing the outside work, mowing the lawn, weed eating, all of that. My dad was very good at taking me out on dates, pumping my gas. Never made my mom pump gas, so that's like kind of where that comes from. So he was like very chivalrous there. So I was like, oh, okay. In my head, dads do that. The men do those things.
That's a man thing.
Yeah. I don't remember anybody saying like, I'm paying for this and I'm paying for that. I always knew my parents had one bank account, but I do remember like bills being like when they were just mailed to you and it wasn't like electronic anymore. They were all being on the counter, like spread out. And both of my parents were like going back and forth. Yeah. And like sometimes they would argue, sometimes they wouldn't argue. They would just like talk about whatever. So I remember that. So I don't think in my head I was like, oh, this is a boy's job or a girl's job. I didn't really know that. Except for like what you're taught, what you see other parents and other people do. It's like, oh, the men take care of that. Who knew? I don't know. Okay, cool. And my parents both worked my whole life, so I never saw like one works, one stays home. My mom was not a cuddly, touchy, want to be home with us.
That's not the Williams way.
Yeah, no. So, so I guess that was my role as an older sister, as the first daughter. I never saw it from any other perspective either for a long time. Now that I'm out of the house, I'm seeing like my sisters don't have to do half the stuff I did.
Of course not. That's how it goes.
No, my parents are still really good at making them do all their own stuff, but they go with them to everything. And there's a lot more coddling there for sure.
As the generations.
Yeah. And there's a lot more of the, like, my sisters can just speak their mind however they feel. And my parents are like, oh, okay. And just run with it.
There's a shift in the mental.
Back in the day, that was not.
Oh, no.
It was not
you get your ass beat.
A shift in the mental
balance. Don't talk to me like that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, they are individuals. They have feelings. They have. If you don't pay a bill in this house, you don't have no rights. You ain't got no feelings.
Yeah. So actually, a lot of my gender role things that I learned are from Elijah and like how his family worked, because they were very much like mom stays home, takes care of the kids,
homeschools them.
them.
There were two boys in the house,
and there was 2 boys in the house and 2
2
girls, and then the dad went to work, and it was very much like a like no matter they also got like, which I think is like a grandparent thing to do. Like back in the day, you got married really young. You got married, which is after like 2 dates,
like 20,
you know. So their first date, they got engaged.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. But their first date, they got engaged.
I think I've heard his.
And
baby,
they've been married for 30 something years now.
It's Chris Brown.
It
ain't nobody else I'm doing that with. Engaged on the first girl.
Yeah. So Elijah saw
Chris Brown on the first date.
Baby, if he say we'll go to the altar right now, hello.
You're going without knowing what
I'm going.
Now you did okay. You didn't did this before. Now you can go down. You did this before. Marry the man because he fine. Jesus gonna say, all right now. I know. All right now.
Lord Jesus.
We didn't do it once now.
The Lord Jesus. When I was younger, me and my brother are 4 years apart. And so I would say at least up until like middle school ish, going like right before I got into high school, my brother was still at home. So it was.
And he's older.
Yeah, by 4 years. Yeah. And I feel like the chores were like split evenly. Like it wasn't he only took out the trash or something like that. So I don't feel like there was like a role in a sense when I was a kid. It was just everybody helps. Yeah, everybody helps out, or these are the chores. Divvy them up how you choose. But I think once he left and it was me by myself, anything that required, I would say getting a little bit more, or like a little bit dirty or something like that, then my dad would like help out with that. So in a sense that's when it kind of became like, oh, okay, maybe my dad's thinking that like this should be a boy's job or whatever. Yeah. But I would say when I got married though, it definitely was like this is a woman's thing, this is a guy's thing. Like my ex-husband, he didn't cook. If it was his turn to like maybe come up with an idea for what to eat, we would just go out and eat. But he's not cooking. So it was mostly if dinner was made, it was me like cooking something. I pumped gas though. But I mean, if we were together in the car, he would get out and pump gas, but I still wasn't like to the extreme of where like my mom was, where it didn't matter if she was by herself or not. She wasn't pumping no gas. So she was either trading her car at his job and taking his car, or my dad. I remember one time my dad even left his job to go meet my mom at the gas station
to pump her gas.
Yeah. Oh. Now I will say this. It wasn't like he came all the way back home and met at the gas station. It was like maybe she was out. She stopped by a gas station that was by his job and then pumped her gas. But my mom was not pumping gas at all. Like,
she's just not.
No way, no how was she pumping gas.
Wow.
So it wasn't to like that extreme. But I would say I learned a little bit of like gender rolling from my parents, but not a lot, only because my dad can do everything. My dad is usually the one who cooks. Of course, like my dad, you know, when we were younger, he did do the yard work, but they stopped doing that a long time ago and got somebody else to cut the grass. But if it did need cutting, like my dad was doing like the yard work outside, he cooked. Honestly, he did the laundry. So my dad, he pretty much did everything. But my mom was also the breadwinner. So my mom made majority of the money. Now my dad still worked, but my mom she was a pharmacist. Pharmacists make hella money.
Yeah.
Hella money.
my mom wasn't really like I got off work and I'm coming home and cooking. A lot of times my mom was working a 12-hour shift, 9 to 9. She not coming home and making dinner. By that time, we should be in the bed by that time. So,
fend for yourself.
So your gender roles were kind of opposite, though. So your mom made the money, and then dad did pretty much everything else. Like,
I mean, my mom would
still
help.
the foundation. Like he's
he was still head of the household.
That part. So, but he helped out with everything else because my dad never really had a job where he was working a 12-hour shift like that. So he was still like a what are they called? Store. He was still a store manager, so he still had a high position pretty much ever since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So he was still making good money himself, but
he never had to work.
He never had to work hours like my mom did. So my dad kind of picked up, what my mom didn't do.
That's so sweet.
So I kind of learned that from my dad. So that made me like want to go outside and like figure out how to take care of the yard. So I would go out there and help him with that. I learned how to cook some from my dad, and then I also went to culinary school. So, but I mean, I feel like most women know how to cook. If they don't, it's because they really don't like to do it.
Yeah.
And so then they were like, I know I don't like to do it, so I don't want to learn anymore. But I feel like most women know how to cook. But I don't consider cooking a woman's gender role because I know so many really good male chefs that I'm like, I don't think. And I think it's a necessity. Being able to cook something to eat is a necessity. You should know how to do that no matter what. So that's why I'm like, those are one of those things that I don't feel like is a gender role because it's needed in life. But like cutting the lawn or something like that, like I can get somebody else to do that. Yeah. I don't necessarily think that that's like a male thing to do or a woman's thing to do. But it's not a necessity for me to live. Me to eat is a necessity to live. So like everybody should know how to do that. Yeah. Also like with laundry, I don't think that should be a gender role. Like only the wife does that.
All get clothes dirty.
If anything, I think maybe you could split it up as
one washes, one folds.
Yeah, like we had that for a long time. I think that's cool. Or just making sure that maybe there is one person who puts it in, but then when it comes out,
whoever is there folds it.
Just fold it.
Yeah,
we had that in our home.
Nice.
Before it was I wash, you fold, but because that's how it was when he was with his mom. She washed, he fold. He downstairs hanging up them blouses.
He
know which ones need to be hung up.
Yeah, see, I would say that my dad is the exact same way too. He knows exactly how everything of my mom's needs to be washed, separated, what needs to be hung, what can go in the dryer. My dad's so good at that with my sisters. My dad does all the laundry now, but before it was just like everything was just teamwork with my parents, whoever got to it, because they were both working parents. So I never saw one did more or the other. I think it's me just like watching things on TV, seeing how my friends did stuff or my friends' parents do things that I was like, oh, okay, in my mind that's like a woman's job versus like a man's, you know,
how you're viewing it.
But everything was like teamwork. I feel like now more so my parents are still both work and they're both the breadwinners, and it's definitely more split up, but I feel like my dad does more of the household stuff. He cooks more. I feel like he does more laundry, but then my mom will pick up and she'll cook, and
which I feel like that's the best way to do it. Is like
it's just like teamwork. Yeah.
Well, that is the end of the All Things Gender Role episode. I hope we sparked some interesting conversations in your household. But let us know in the comments what you think a male role and a female role, like hands down, is just absolutely their responsibility. We want to know what you guys think. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, please, and thank you. We really appreciate you guys for watching each week. It really does mean a lot to us. Thank you guys so much for doing that. Don't forget to follow us on TikTok and Instagram. We post all kinds of things there.
And tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a homegirl to tell a homeboy to follow.
And maybe the barista.
Yeah. Yep. Them too. That's okay. We gonna circle back. I'm
gonna try again next time.
Say, what you doing? We're gonna get a card. I am filming.
Yes. Tell them about the Drip Dry podcast.
Please.
Thanks to all the drippies out there. We have finally made it to 100 subscribers. We see all of you guys and honestly cannot thank you enough. We are only halfway through the year and have already made it to 100 subscribers. And it just means the world to us. So thank you guys so much. We will see you guys in our next episode. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye. What's your flavor? Tell me what's your flavor. Oh my God.
You okay?
I'm sorry.
She's dying.
I was holding that coffin like nobody's business.
She's dying.
She was trying to suppress the cough.
I really was. You could probably see it on the camera where I was like,
hold it.
She's halfway dying and we're
because I didn't want to edit that part out. So I was like,
she up here like, what's your flavor? I'm dying.
And I was like, wait, that's good content.
Hold it.
What's your flavor?
She's like, do you guys remember that? I was like, oh my God.
Oh, hilarious.
It's like I can't hold it anymore.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay.
That was hilarious.